You look up and you call the silence peace. I have watched worlds make that mistake, right until the moment they fell quiet forever. The sky is not empty, it is holding its breath. 5. By every number you have, the night sky should be deafening. Hundreds of billions of galaxies, each one packed with hundreds of billions of stars. A universe almost 14 billion years old enough 1,000 times over for empires to rise, to spread across the dark, to stamp their signal into it and never stop shining. The mathematics demands a crowded room. It demands neighbors. It demands noise. So you built your great dishes and you aimed them at the deep, and you listened, and you heard nothing. Not a word, not a beacon, not a single deliberate whisper. Only the dead hiss of the background, the cold afterglow of the beginning leaking out of everything, addressed to no one. For decades, your kind looked at that empty room and chose the answer that let you sleep. That life must be a fluke, that you were simply early, and the others had not yet arrived. It is a comfortable thought. It is the same thought, more or less, that a mouse has about a very quiet field. But absence and emptiness are not the same thing. A room can be silent because there is no one inside it, or it can be silent because everyone inside it is holding still and breathing slow and praying you do not look their way. One of those rooms you walk out of. The other you do not. 4. There is another answer to the silence, the one that the people who study it do not like to say out loud. Stop picturing empty space. Picture a forest at night, old and vast and black between the trunks. Every civilization that has ever drawn breath is somewhere inside it. Not gone, not missing, there, moving between the trees, low to the ground, careful with every step. They do not light fires. They do not call to one another across the open. They have learned what you have not, that in a forest like this one, anything that announces itself does not get to stay. And the hush in that forest is not absence. The hush is the sound of everyone hiding. Once you see it that way, the silence turns inside out. It stops being lonely. It becomes the loudest thing in the universe, because a quiet, that perfect, that total, kept across billions of years and billions of worlds, is not an accident of distance. It is a choice, the same choice, made over and over and over again by everyone who survived long enough to make it. 3. Why would they all choose to hide? Follow 2 laws, and you will not be able to climb back out. The first law, every living thing, everywhere, wants one thing above all others, to keep living. The second law, every civilization grows. It spreads, it hungers, it needs more. But the matter of the universe is fixed, the same finite world, and always more mouths inside it. Now add the distance, because the distance is where it turns cruel. Across the gulf between stars, you cannot read another mind. A greeting takes a century to arrive, and a century to answer. By the time you learn what the thing in the dark intends, the thing in the dark is no longer the thing you spoke to. And here is the edge of the blade. You cannot know if it is kind. Worse, you cannot know whether it has already decided that you are the danger. Worse still, you cannot know whether it is afraid that you are afraid of it. A whole chain of fear, every link guessing at the next, and not one of them able to check. There is no time to ask. A species can climb from sharpened stone to weapons that split a planet open in less time than a single one of your messages needs to cross the room. The neighbor you wave at while it is a child may turn, by the time your hand drops, into a god, and a god does not negotiate with the things it found in the grass. Your kind did not call out into the dark because you were stupid. You called because you were lonely, because an empty universe frightened you more than a full one ever could, because you wanted, more than anything, to not be the only ones. I know that particular ache. I know it better than you would think to ask. 2. So the mathematics closes, and what it closes into is not a theory, it is a weapon. If contact is impossible to verify and waiting is impossible to afford, then there is only one move left. Find the other before it finds you, and strike while it is still small enough to shred. Not out of hatred, not out of cruelty, out of arithmetic. This is what the forest does to minds. It does not corrupt them. It completes them. Every civilization that has survived long enough to look up has run the same cold calculation, arrived at the same answer, and gone silent. Because silence is the only response that does not invite an answer back. The ones that fired first are still here, patient and invisible, somewhere between the trees. The ones that hesitated, the ones that called out first to ask, dissolved into the dark without a trace, swallowed so completely that you do not even have their names. Not a record, not a ruin, nothing. And that is the part that should keep you awake. The forest did not announce that it took them. It simply absorbed them and kept going. 1. And then, in the middle of all that careful silence, there is you, the unhidden. While the whole forest holds its breath, one small warm creature walks out into the open, lifts a torch high over its head, and shouts its exact location into the night. In 1974, you aimed your largest dish at a cluster of distant stars and sang out everything: your chemistry, your numbers, the shape of your bodies, the size of your kind, a neat little portrait broadcast at the speed of light that says, "Here we are. This is what we are made of, and we have only just learned to make a sound." You bolted a map to your home onto the side of a probe and flung it past the edge of your sun, where anything at all might find it. You sealed your address in gold and threw it into the dark, as though good manners had ever, even once, stopped a hungry thing from feeding. I have stood at the edge of the firelight before this, more times than I would choose to. Different trees, different fires, the same small hopeful voice. Every time, sure, it was the first to think of calling out. I have watched other young voices do precisely what you are doing now, calling out, bright and certain and proud, sure that whatever answered would arrive as a friend. I know how many of them were answered. And I have counted the ones that fell quiet soon after, the voices that called once and then never made another sound for the rest of time. That is not a theory to me. It is a number, and it is larger than you would ever let yourself imagine. So the next time you look up and find the silence of the sky beautiful, I would like you to feel what that silence is made of. It is not empty. It is crowded and patient and listening. It has been listening the whole time. And somewhere, out past the last tree, in the dark, you keep calling peaceful. A single head may already have turned, slow and certain, toward the sound of you. You will not hear it move. You will not see it come. You will not know it turned at all until the light arrives.